You've been acting strange, things ain't been the same. Haven't hit you up, so there's no one else to blame. I've been on the grind all the time, I'm sure you know how that goes.
What's up, slackers? Welcome to Book Cheats.
What's up, slackers? Welcome to Book Cheats.
Let's get right into the book. Today we're going to be talking about To Kill a Mockingbird, Chapter 20. This chapter again leaves right off where the last chapter left off, and Scout and Dill are outside underneath an oak tree trying to find shade, and Mr. Dolphus Raymond just came around the tree to confront the children about what Dill was saying, how Mr. Gilmer, the prosecuting attorney, was being super mean to Tom because he was black. Mr. Dolphus Raymond gives Dill his brown sack and tells Dill to drink it and that it would help his stomach. And Scout was weary from taking anything from Mr. Dolphus Raymond because he was a social outcast for hanging out with black people. Scout sort of scowled at Dill to not drink what Mr. Raymond gave him.
Don't drink that racist coffee.
And Dill, being a player, ignored Scout and drank whatever Mr. Raymond gave him and told Scout not to worry because it was just Coca Cola. Mr. Raymond laughed because Dill was such a rebel.
No, sorry. Don't talk to me like that.
And he said to Jem and Scout,
You little folks won't tell on me, will ya? It'll ruin my reputation.
Scout was shocked because everybody in town thought that Mr. Raymond was constantly drinking whiskey, but this whole time he always was drinking Coca Cola. Scout confronts Mr. Raymond and says, You mean you've been drinking Coca Cola this whole time? Mr. Raymond says,
Yes, ma'am.
Scout asked Mr. Raymond why he always pretends to be drunk, and Mr. Raymond explained that it was because he had a black wife, and people didn't really understand that. He told Dill and Scout that he could just adopt the attitude of screw you to the world and just live the life that he wanted with his black wife. But he said that he felt like he needed to give people a reason because they couldn't comprehend why he wanted to live the lifestyle that he lived. Mr. Raymond told Dill and Scout that because everybody thought he was a drunk, it was easy for them to say that Mr. Raymond lived with a black woman because he was a drunk. Scout felt like she was listening to a sinful man, but deep inside, she was super intrigued by Mr. Raymond. Scout asked Mr. Raymond why he was revealing all these things to them, and Mr. Raymond said that it was because they were children and they could understand these types of things, and that they hadn't been marked by the culture of racism because they were little. Mr. Raymond sort of says something to them in a way that they would understand once they got older. And basically he tells them that he was telling them those things because in the future when they grew up, they could make a change. Mr. Raymond told Scout that her father Atticus wasn't just a run-of-the-mill guy and that she would understand when she was older. The sun was starting to set, and Scout realized that they had been missing the trial, and although she wanted to talk to Mr. Raymond longer, she decided to take Dill inside. As Scout and Dill headed inside, they thanked Mr. Raymond for the Coca Cola and scurried up the stairs. When they got back to their seats, Atticus was making his final arguments to the jury, and Scout asked Jem what they missed. Jem said that Atticus was bringing his final evidence to the jury, and he said that he was sure that they won because it was plain as day that Tom was innocent.
Where are my pies? Ribbles, where are the pies I put on my windowsill?
Why, I don't know, Mrs. Carruthers. Why would anyone want to steal one of your delicious blueberry pies?
Suddenly, Atticus did something that Jem and Scout had never seen him do. Atticus began to unbutton some of his clothes. He unbuttoned his vest and the top of his collar. And to Jem and Scout, it was almost as if he was naked.
Turn up the bass.
Because Atticus was always super clean and always had all of his clothes perfectly in order. Atticus was trying to show his sincerity and to show that he was a simple man just like them. Atticus began to explain to the jury the importance of one man's life and the importance of their decision with Tom and his future. Atticus told the jury that Tom was clearly innocent, and the only reason why Tom was there was because he was black.
Is it okay if I ask for your number?
I'm seeing someone.
Is it because I'm black?
No.
Atticus explained further to the jury that he respected Mayella, but he knew that Mayella was just trying to protect her own skin, and that Mayella didn't do anything illegal by kissing a black man, but something far worse would happen to her, and she would become a social outcast for mingling with a black person, and she was willing to get rid of the evidence, and the only evidence being Tom Robinson. Atticus continues through the steps of the crime and says that Mayella's father beat her because he knew what would happen if people found out that she kissed a black man, and that he was doing it to try to teach her a lesson so that she didn't ruin their family's little reputation that they had. Atticus points out that all of the injuries on Mayella's body were from a left-handed person, and it couldn't have been Tom because Tom was a handicap who couldn't use his left hand. Atticus also pointed out to the jury the mannerisms of the Ewell family and how they were sort of a lower-class family willing to lie to protect their own skins.
Have you been eating anything?
Atticus addresses the jury and tells them that white people in the South had the stereotype of black men, that they were dangerous around their wives, and that they were big liars and evil. Atticus explains that this stereotype wasn't true and that there were bad and good people in every race. And as Jem and Scout looked down at Atticus trying to convince the jury, he did something that they had never seen him do. Atticus began to sweat on his forehead, and he got out his handkerchief and wiped the sweat off his forehead. And Atticus was pleading with all of his might for Tom's life. Atticus ended his pleading with the jury by quoting Thomas Jefferson, and he said the Yankees up north like to use this quote against us, that all men are created equal. And Atticus explained that not all men are created equal, and that some people are born into wealth, and some people are born into poverty, and some people have good opportunities in their life, and other people don't have good opportunities in their life, and some people are smart, and other people are dumb. And Atticus explains that the quote, all men are created equal, applied to the court system, and that every man, no matter what race they were, had the right to a fair trial. Atticus says that he's not some idealist who believes in the perfect system, and that a court is just as good as the jury is, and that juries weren't perfect. And he says that he hoped that the jury were good people and would do their right duty before their country and their God. Atticus's last words were more to himself, and it was a plead for them to believe Tom. And Atticus says,
In the name of God, believe him.
The chapter ends with Dill nudging Scout to look down towards the hallway leading into the courtroom, and Calpurnia was walking straight towards Atticus. And that concludes the chapter. Thanks so much for watching Book Cheats. Please leave that like and subscribe. If you guys have any questions from your homework, leave a comment down below and I'll get to it as soon as I can. You guys have an awesome day and slack on.
I put you before these hoes. Strange, things ain't been the same.